they were good for what they were, and they were the first RISC laptop in many, many years. But now we have a native ARM RISC laptop that is pretty swanky, to be honest. It's thin. I mean, my wife came down and saw it, not really knowing what it was, and just said, "Wow, that's that's quite something." She thought it was a sort of MacBook or sort of PC knockoff of a MacBook. No, it's a RISC laptop that is super slim and super fast and runs for a full working day on battery. What's not to like, really? And to go alongside with that, as I say, I was just talking about when we were starting, we have done a selection of solutions for external connectivity to projectors and monitors, because one of the big requests with the original Pinebook was that if you've got a laptop, you want to take it out places, and when you take it out places, you want to connect it to a projector or to a screen or something. You want to be able to show what you're doing on the laptop to other people, and getting them to cram around a tiny, tiny screen is not a lot of fun. So we have now available basically what we're using today is an adapter that you plug into the USB port. It gives in the box HDMI, DVI and VGA, basically all the common heads except DisplayPort, but generally anything that does DisplayPort also does one of the others. So basically all the common heads for connectivity that you could want, including in the box. And you just plug it in and run the supplied USB video software, and boom, out comes the picture as you're seeing there. You can choose resolutions, change colour depths and so on. As I say, it dims the laptop, adjusts the video system on the Pinebook accordingly, disables the internal screen acceleration, external monitor, and then when you finish with it, you run it again and it switches it back happily to continue on the Pinebook display. We also have available. Sorry. Which that is $49.99, or $49 we're doing at the show, $49 there, and that includes both the hardware and the software. I'm actually only making about £5 on it. It's very much it's a service product rather than a money-making product, as it were. But it solves a problem, and I think if one person finds that attractive and it allows them to use or go for one of the laptops or just puts that with one of the original Pinebooks because it doesn't work with the original Pinebook, right. Then I think that's the problem solved.
Sorry, Andrew, I missed that. Did you say it works with the original Pinebook?
Yes, the external connection can also be used with the original Pinebook. We also have these docks which are similar technology, but they require external power. The standard ones that we do not require any external power, which is quite convenient for a mobile device, just to be able to plug it straight into the projection. And these ones require external power, so they do a bit more. They have network and extra USB ports and things on them as well. The downside of these, to my mind, it swings and roundabouts. I tend to prefer the convenience of the direct connection, but there's also more functionality in the powered solution. One thing I'm always a bit cautious of is I found that there was a certain amount of USB contention going on, because if you're doing the screen and the network and the USB ports all over one USB link into USB 2, you've got a sort of country lane and you're trying to drive with a tractor type situation. So I quite like keeping things separate, is my own take on it. But we do both, depending on, because not everybody wants the sort of portability if you just want to connect things up more neatly on a desk, and we can do those. But
with the original Pinebook, this is USB out of the Pinebook into that.
Basically, with this one, you would connect USB A to B lead into there. I've got one for me. And then mains power goes in there, monitor into there, network and USBs.
HDMI, it's only
a DVI, but you use a DVI HDMI adapter to achieve that, much as we do with the thing. And then you've got some more on the front. But it's a convenient desktop solution. But honestly, I'd be a bit cautious about recommending any of these type solutions as a desktop solution, because you do get a performance penalty. I mean, it's great that we can do this, but if I sort of drag a medium-sized window around the screen, you'll see that there's a bit of a trail there.
It's better than VAC.
I mean, we are using data compression to improve the performance, but ultimately, that's not the slick, smooth experience that you would get on using the laptop screen directly. So, I wouldn't necessarily want to use that as my primary 24/7 type screen display, but it's a solution to a problem, and I think it's sort of interesting. Basically there's more than one way to skin a cat, as they would say, and so we have different solutions depending on what you need. So Pinebook Pro is the focus of our development. Pinebook Pro, as I said, has the RK3399 CPU in, and that's an interesting part because it's used by multiple other devices that you can buy. So it's not just a case of, oh, this is for the Pinebook Pro, but we also have a version that will drive the Rock Pi, the Rock Pi. There are 3 or 4 Rock Pi designs using RK3399. Pine, the company themselves, also have a circuit board type design, a single board computer based on RK3399, and they're also all-in-one computers with the screens with a motherboard that use RK3399 as well. So there are quite a few different designs available using the RK3399, and the port that we do already has sort of outputs to things like the Rock Pi. So it's a family of products rather than just being, oh, this is a port for the laptop. And they all have the same high performance. They all can take advantage of the graphics acceleration technology that we've developed for the Pinebook, which uses neon technology to accelerate window and screen read draws. So there's a family of products here. And since there seems to be a lot of talk about clock speeds at the moment, yes, some of them can be overclocked. When we were developing the Pinebook, we did, I think, have the Pinebook running, it was 2.4, 2.5 gigahertz by accident when John set the clock. It worked quite happily and ran RISC Mark. John sent me a RISC Mark and said, does this interest you? And it was sort of 50% faster than any of the other ones on Chris Hall's how-tos. But you can't really ship a product like that, certainly in the laptop form factor, because reliability and all that. But I mean, there is headroom in these designs to go faster if you really want to. But what we generally find, based on our experience with selling the computers, is that most people don't want, they want it to be fast, yes, but they value more the reliability and long life of a product rather than a few extra 100 megahertz and then burning it out in 12 months, 24 months. They'd much rather have something that's sort of solid and reliable. So, a majority of machines tend to be sold at stock clocks rather than being overclocked even when we offer the choice. So, I think running Iris, for example. I mean, Richard this morning did the Iris demo on a Pinebook Pro, you guys probably saw the presentation, but it runs really nicely on Pinebook Pro. So. I think that's really good. We can also dual boot into Linux with it, and we also provide a mechanism, the internal drive. If you buy a Linux and RISC Pinebook Pro, there's a shared space on the main drive where you can transfer files backwards and forwards between the operating systems. So if you want to dual boot between RISC and Linux, you can have files that are shared and accessible between the two platforms. So Pinebook Pro, we have stock available at show, and it is now available, and for the base price that we're doing at the show is £499. There are sort of accessories and extras available, carry cases, and more storage and adapters and things, but come and check it out, play with it on the stand. Software-wise, our new release for this show, courtesy of X80 in Holland, is the latest version of Photodesk. If I go to Show Demo 2022, you should be able to go to there, it's testing. Photodesk, there. I just took a quick copy of what I had on my hard drive. We have the latest Photodesk, courtesy, as I say, what the history here is that Photodesk was bought by X80 back in 2020, and they didn't have time to do any development work on it. So, seeing that it wasn't available, I contacted X80 and said, hey, do you mind if I do some development work on it? So they said, sure, sent me the source code. And so basically we're partnering with them to, I'm doing the development work and I'm passing the versions backwards and forwards between myself and X80. So when it's available in the UK, it's through Arcom, and in Europe it's available through X80. The new version will work on pretty much any Raspberry machine. We've removed the copy protection, we've improved the performance, it's now much faster at loading JPEGs and things like that. Large files load and edit much more quickly. And we also have a brand new...
And does that incorporate stuff that Chris Evans did?
It's got all the Chris Evans stuff, it's got all, and then beyond that it's got stuff developed by Willy Theis and Detlef Thielsch in Germany.
So it's all in together?
All in together, and then there were some bugs in that, and I fixed those bugs that I found in that.
Well, I got one in December, probably for you actually.
Yeah.
Is that the same as what?
No. The latest version is literally from last week.
Okay, so I need to take over.
Basically, the history here, so it's really clear. Last summer we did a free version update to allow anybody who was one of our customers who had bought a new machine and couldn't use it on, say, Pi 4. We did a free upgrade to get everybody a working copy so that they weren't being sort of stuck in a position where they couldn't use it because the hardware wouldn't run it. At that point, I didn't think I was going to be doing anything more with it than just getting it out, so that went out for free. Then it became clear that I was actually going to be doing the development of it, and things sort of changed. So then later in the year we put the version out on Play Store, and that version, if you've upgraded to that, then that will be upgraded for free to the latest version.
That's like
so if you paid money for a version to Arcom, then it's free. If you just got the free version last summer, then we would ask you to do the paid up or upgrade like everybody else if you want to get the new developments. But you won't have to pay again because it's sort of pay to get into the Arcom beta structure, you know, and then from then on it's free. What we've done is we've got a price for a brand new copy and a price for the upgrade price applies to anybody, regardless of whether you had a pirate copy or bought it or whatever. If you had Photodesk and you want to upgrade, you pay the upgrade price. Because it's different companies, none of the same people are involved, so it's effectively like starting from scratch. So if people want to pay the upgrade price, they pay the upgrade price, but we do also have a brand new copy price of £45. It's sort of 30 for the upgrade or 45 if you want a brand new copy. But no pressure either way. And basically there's a whole series of bug fixes and improvements throughout the program. It's faster. If you're running it on a modern RISC 5 machine, you definitely want to be running this version. If you're dealing with larger photographs and things that you get out of modern cameras and phones, you definitely want to be running this version. And frankly, I would say pretty much every situation, it's better on Virtual Acorn than the old version was. So basically, whatever system you run, you probably want to run this version of it because it's going to run better. And then on top of that, a chap called Chris Terran, who's an absolute hero, has produced a whole new manual for Photodesk. Photodesk traditionally has been quite a complex program to use, and I think a lot of people have bounced off it because of a perceived complexity. And so what Chris has done is to go through and actually produce a whole new manual for it, which is very much focused on tutorial. So he tells you what features are available, but then he says, hey, this is how you do it. So lots of illustrations, an explanation of, you can see here is an example. Here he's talking about doing 3D, stereoscopic 3D stuff with Photodesk. Worked examples, and everything that he shows in these tutorials are then supplied in an image pack on the CD, so you can actually do the things that he talks about with the same files and see the techniques that he described in the manual and do it yourself with the files that are supplied on the CD. It's 200 pages, this is a slightly older version, 197 pages, but the full version is 200 pages, and then this copy here I've got on this disc, I've still got a couple of pages that are marked TBW, to be written, but the full version is complete. And that's included on the CDs. So I said we can, John's question, if you actually want one of the CD copies with the extensive manual, I think, on CD, then you can grab one for a £5. It's just covering the cost of the CD and not get duplication, but that is optional. But that's all on the CD. If you were to buy the upgrade today, you would get that on the CD and you take it away with you. And that, the goal of that is to help guide you through Photodesk and get a better understanding of how to use the program to do.
You mentioned perceived complexity, it's genuine complexity, I'm afraid.
Okay, well,
yeah.
I'm being polite.
It's got a lot of power there.
So the purpose of the manual is to help unlock that power. Then I think that would be the way to put it. Yeah. Oops. So Photodesk, latest version, back alive, bug fixes, improvements, generally all round good experience on modern systems, and for one-off payment, £30 upgrade, or £45 for a totally brand new copy.
Really great to see that.
Yeah. Which basically it used to cost about £85, so what we've done is roughly half the price, and bring it back. So hopefully that's a good thing. As well as laptop machines, we also, as you know, do desktop machines. We have our focus of desktop-wise is our Forte 2 computer, which we launched last year. Forte 2 starts at £250, so it's an affordable machine, powered by the now rather expensive Raspberry Pi 4 boards, and includes solid-state disk. You can have full-size solid-state disk or and up to solid-state disk drives in this half. You have the motherboard on this side with a large heatsink and a fan. The fan is optional, so you don't have to use the fan. But it's there. If the processor gets hot, you can use the fan to control the temperatures. The software, it has a unique suite of software with it, including our Forte Tool software, which provides very fine control over the system. You can set overclocking profiles, so you can choose clock speeds and you can run clock from stop clock. You can use the Raspberry Pi in turbo boost mode they use on their Linux. You can sort of go for 2 gig, 2.1, etc. Basically, you can choose the profile, and it's a risk versus reward with any kind of overclocking. And you basically select it from the menu and just choose what you want, and then pick the set, go, and the next time you reboot, your Raspberry Pi will be running faster. And then if you decide that actually you don't really notice much difference and you prefer to be at stop clocks where it's sort of a bit safer, then you've got that, just set it back and away you go. We can dual boot into Linux. We do a hardware dual boot system, so even if we've heard of horror stories where with software solutions people have had problems with their SD cards and things. By doing it in hardware, if Linux updates something on the Linux side, then it can't mess up your RISC side and vice versa. So you basically can't break it. And that to me is a good way of doing things because essentially you have the Linux system and you have the RISC system. You've got shared storage between them, typically 200 gig of shared storage between the two operating systems. So you can transfer your files, you can store your RISC data on there and what have you, and access it from both operating systems. But you have the safety of a hardware solution for selecting whether you boot Linux or whether you boot RISC when you turn it on. As I say, you've got multiple drives in there, SSD and boot drives. So you can actually set up multi-disk backup in the machine. We include our SafeStore software so that you can actually automate your data backup within the Forte, so that you've got your work folders and things can automatically be mirrored between the two drives in the system. That means you've got data security with the system, and as you can see, we have 4 USBs on the back, 2 on the front. Monitor outputs, gigabit Ethernet, and an expansion through the GPIO header. Anybody who buys at the show will receive a free hardware upgrade in the form of a real-time clock module, which provides a hardware battery-backed up real-time clock. When the power's off, the time is still ticking along in the real-time clock module. That ensures that you can use it away from an internet connection and still retain the correct date and time when you are not connected to the internet. So I think that's quite a useful little add-on, and that is included as a free bonus for any machines that are bought at the show this time. We can't do much in the way of price discounting because the Raspberry Pi boards are actually costing us twice what they used to cost us. So in terms of the profit on the machines, it's way down. So we've got to keep the prices where it is, but we can throw in a
supply problem, or is it permanent?
I hope it's not permanent, but basically what the situation is that there are basically no Raspberry Pi boards being produced, and when there are, they get snapped up by scalpers and sold on eBay. You can occasionally get them from companies like Pi Hut or Pi-Mori, but they tend to take their stock and they put them in kits. So you have to buy them with a power supply that we don't need, with an SD card that we don't need, with a case we don't need. I've got a whole box full of junk.
Has the foundation said anything about the supply?
They claim that by the third quarter this year it will be, but then they said that last year. So I don't know. We scraped together a little bit of stock for the show, so I would say if you're interested in Forte 2, grab them while they're in stock. And we had about sort of a 6-week period where we didn't have any stock at the beginning of this year, and then I managed to get some a small batch of units at the end of January, and I sort of ring-fenced those for the show. Yeah, I would say if you're interested in Forte, come and check it out on the stand. Your graphics output provides you with 4K graphics, and it's a tiny little box, but it packs an awful lot of work. And frankly, with SSD and a dual disk system, that makes a very nice replacement for any of our previous generations of machines. Particularly, I would say, if you're still running an Harmony or an Harmony X or something, it's given the low cost, it's an absolutely ideal replacement for that. And from an ARM-X6, you'll certainly notice quite a difference as well, simply because there's a much faster processor. If you're running things like RISC, you can really tell the difference on something like a Forte or a Pinebook Pro compared to the ARM-X6. So I'll keep it short there. The other major launch we had last summer was Messenger Pro 9, which had much improved security and compatibility with modern SSL and TLS services. So again, if you need to connect to modern web services, with the exception of my own Outlook, and Smart Siemens will tell you, they've introduced some really nasty protection on that. Then Messenger Pro 9 will have it covered. But come and talk to me on the stand if you're interested in any of that. And in the interest of not being too lengthy, I will stop there and throw it open for questions.
Andrew, what's the version of Linux that's on the Forte?
On the Forte 2, we actually give you a selection. We normally, if people don't know any particular preference, we would do the latest version of Raspberry and Raspberry Pi OS operating system. For the 4 gig models, we would use the 64-bit version, and for 2 gig models, we would use the 32-bit version, which is the default version. If you download it off the Raspberry Pi website, you get the 32-bit version. But for larger memory versions, I think it's better to use the 64-bit version, so we use that on those ones. But we've also done Twister OS, which is good for gamers. It includes Steam support and x86 compatibility out of the box. And I think I also did, I want to say Ubuntu, but it might not have been it. I'm thinking back a year, so forgive me. It was sort of a version of a more commonly known Linux, where somebody specifically requested but that was what they wanted, so I downloaded it and did it. We've got, and one of the nice ways the 482 does it is you can actually use the images straight off their website with the 482. So you don't need, it doesn't need to be adapted in any way. So if you want to try out different versions of Linux, you can do it without knackering the 482. It's a fairly bulletproof system in that regard. So we can really do anything you want Linux-wise with the system, and away you go. And of course, with the way storage is traditionally a problem on a Raspberry Pi, but because of the way Linux is using a USB 3 system, you do actually get decent disk I/O on Linux support, which is important for Linux because Linux is so commonly disk storage I/O bound in the first place. So,
Messenger's been updated. Has NetFetch been updated?
Current version of NetFetch is 5.54. That actually had the SSL stuff in ahead of Messenger, so if you've got the 5.50 upgrade, which was about a year ago, might even be 18 months ago, then you've got all of the latest security stuff in there already. It's sort of essentially what we did is rolled that stuff into the main Messenger application and also added it to the IMAP client, which is only in the Messenger application. So that was, was a sort of combined upgrade of the security in Messenger to the same sort of level that we had in NetFetch 5.54. If you're behind 5.5 or 5.54, then I would say get that upgrade because that is very much.
I can't remember.
But that's, we can check people on the database if you need,
oh, right.
if you need to. But I would say if you missed that one, I would get that one simply because the world is moving to the new
I'm sure I've got it.
SSL standards fairly rapidly.
On the Messenger, are you aware of UTF-8 problem with the editor on Messenger? I say the problem. If Messenger handles UTF-8 splendidly,
it does.
But if you do reply to letter, anything that's in UTF-8 comes out squiggly do.
Yeah, the editor is not a UTF-8 editor.
That's right.
You can go external editor.
Strongly doesn't do that.
I believe the guy who did the UTF-8 work did actually have it working with a version of Zap. I don't want to make a promise on that,
okay.
But he did. We have had that working with external editors, but it's.
Yeah, I prefer the internal editor.
I would do too, but we haven't done a version of that that supports UTF-8 yet.
It's in the pipeline for the future.
It would be nice. The source code is there. My problem is I don't have any experience with UTF-8 stuff at all. Right. So I'm largely relying on another programmer who knows UTF-8 to do UTF-8 work. But his availability is disarmingly mixed. So that's why it's sort of running fits and starts in UTF-8 support.
Yeah, the real problem is that you do a reply, everything comes out, screw what to do. It doesn't matter, you leave it alone because it goes out right. But whatever you put into that editor, supposing you're forwarding an email, the forwarded stuff is fine, but whatever you're writing is not.
Yeah.
Because when it gets to the other end, it's either UTF-8 or it's not.
Yeah.
Some of it isn't, some of it isn't. That's, and if you're writing in Spanish, which I'm mostly doing, you've got accents everywhere, then it's very, very evident.
Yeah.
It's okay, so I can solve it, but it's just it'd be nice if it solved it.
Agreed. As I say, I mean, there are steps being taken, but I just can't make any promises on time scale. I thought I saw a hand over here at some point. If no one else has any questions, then we'll keep it short and sweet today.